Welcome to CISO Talks. I am Kalpana Singhal, the founder and chief editor of CXO TV and Techless Media Group. Today, we are diving into the crucial topic of cybersecurity in the financial sector. With the escalating threat of cyber attacks, safeguarding sensitive financial data and transactions have never been more critical. Joining me is our special guest, Mr. Anirban Chakraborty, the Chief Security Officer at EXA Global Business Services, to shed light on navigating cybersecurity challenges in the financial sector. Anirban, it's a pleasure to have you here on CXO TV. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Kalpana. I think I'm honored to be part of this discussion and looking forward to a very stimulating discussion with all of you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So let me kickstart with asking you that what are these some of the emerging cybersecurity trends that you see impacting the financial service sector, and how are organizations adapting their security strategies to address them?
Sure, Kalpana. One significant change that I have personally seen is, very sophisticated attack vectors and very different attack vectors. So it sometimes starts with a very innocuous type of thing and a little bit of phishing, and then it snowballs into more advanced, and when it ends up in ransomware, and so it flows, and it becomes very difficult to be ready with certain procedures or certain mitigation steps because it keeps changing. So it is very advanced in nature. I'm sure in the back end it is due to these arms and ammunition the cyber attackers have in terms of the AI ML based tools. So those are actually main reasons behind by changing the attack vectors and changing the attack patterns very quickly in a few minutes sometimes. So that is one thing is changing. Second thing is changing is possibly we need to understand that we are in the middle of a couple of wars, and the geopolitical scenario is also throwing up new challenges. So the nation state type of cyber attacks, and maybe the possible polarization in the political world, and a little bit of support from the especially in APT areas, so support from a few countries and state nation. So that is one thing which is making it difficult. Third is increasing number of regulations. On the one hand, the attack vectors are changing, attack patterns are changing. There is large amount of fund pumped in by the attackers with the support from those nation state type of stuff, and then you have to deal with the ever-evolving regulatory guidelines. So that makes it more difficult for the organization to deal with. And also, to surge ahead in digital journey, to go to march forward in our business optimization and revenue earning, we need to collect a lot of data. All organizations need to collect a lot of data because the data is crucial to decision making, right? Data is extremely important to make the right decisions, and then you are privy to very large amount of confidential and secret category of data. And then you need to keep them in your safe custody and can't compromise it because your customers have entrusted you with those data, and the attackers are always targeting those data. So it becomes very difficult, and it's a continuous challenge for the organization to deal with those kind of situations. So these are quite a few technology, and then of course the insider threat that was always there. But I think the number of insider threats are increasing quite significantly. So that becomes another challenge. And last but not the least, the supply chain attack. So the solutions, the technology solutions, the business process solutions, no organization can build it end-to-end themselves. They have to build on the external partners. But that becomes a large supply chain. And the bigger the supply chain, you are opening up the bigger threat vector maybe. So the supply chain attack becomes another challenge to deal with. So this comes very quickly to my mind.
Yeah, sure. So there is a huge list. I can see that. So, how are organizations like Extra Business Services are actually adapting their security strategies to address these challenges?
Yeah, I think the first important aspect is to have a security culture. And I think everything starts with culture. If you have that culture in place, if you have the right platoon at the top, that makes it quite a successful journey. So we need to do analysis of the current situation, the current mindset, security mindset, and set the right tone at the top, set the right culture, and that follows through with embedding security in business processes. In most of the areas, I wouldn't say everything maybe, but that would be too much. But yeah, in most of the areas, be it project management, be it digitization, be it new products, services, tools, vendor onboarding, procurement process, and HR security everywhere, try to embed security so that it becomes in a partnership, and security becomes a very integral part of those activities, and that's why we can maintain the security postures and standards in optimal way.
Yeah, sure.
So that is another aspect. Security awareness and training, that's very critical, because sometimes people make mistake, without any malicious kind of intent. It is in most of them are inadvertent. A lot of security awareness and training is required to ensure that there is no breach from insider, and the insider threat is kept at the minimum. That is one thing. And then continuously invent on cybersecurity controls with evolving threat vectors. So today, your best of the control is as good as by today, by tomorrow morning, they may become obsolete because your cyber attackers have gone one step ahead. And then you need to always innovate and need to do risk assessment and understand where you are and where the whole world is moving. What are the business areas you are getting into? What are the new geographic locations you are penetrating into? What are the new vendors you are going to start work with, and the whole ecosystem, and the other cyber attack point of view, and then innovate and come up with new set of controls. So your depth in defense should be always, fluid, and you should always innovate and deliver it on that based on your current risk posture.
Yeah, sure. So as you've mentioned that the security has to be considered even by the different business functions, and the technology adoption, or I would say digital transformation, has become very critical for all the businesses now, especially post-COVID, during COVID and post-COVID now. So including security, like whatever technologies we are adopting and innovations that we are bringing, or whatever digitalization we are doing in the organization, how exactly we can effectively create a balance between that innovation and with the security.
Definitely, Kalpana, very valid question, and that's the crux of the success, I would say. And we need to keep in mind that security is a business enabling function. It is not something to, put any deterrent in the business growth. So we need to work together. Business and security need to work very collaboratively, and there is always a solution. So my first point about embedding security in those activities, digitization, project management, in the strategic business projects, every area, procurement process, supply chain management, everywhere, if security is involved, we are in a better position to understand the upcoming products, solutions, platforms, etc., and get a 360-degree view of it. If we know, the earlier the better, the earlier adoption of security mindset and engaging security in those processes is very important. So when the security team can understand those platforms, the services, solutions, the vendors, everything around it, and can provide better insight to business to deal with security-related issues and concerns that may crop up in the future. But if the engagement is at very fag end, it becomes very difficult for both the teams, both business and security, to come up with the solution. So the right engagement at the right time, at the right juncture is very important. And we always have a solution. The objective should not be to delay the things or stop anything, but given the constraint and within the risk acceptance level, what best can be done. And as you know, the risk cannot be brought down to the level of zero. That's like wishful thinking. It is every organization has their risk acceptance level, risk acceptance criteria. The whole ecosystem, including the security, has to work within that boundary and ensure that they maintain the right risk acceptance level. And that is very important. It might not be possible to bring down the risk to zero and say, hey, you cannot do this, or you cannot bring this SaaS solution, or you cannot go to cloud because our sensitive data is involved. It is, what comes out as a solution within that risk acceptance criteria, that is very important. And if everybody works together with an end goal in mind, there's always a solution.
Yeah, sure. So, as every investment that has been done in business, whether it is for technologies or any kind of investments, so basically those investments are actually being evaluated, that what are the business impacts which are happening with those kind of investments. So when it comes to investments in the cybersecurity, so what are the business priorities you have, do you see, and wherein you're able to justify the impact that it is bringing to the business?
Sure. So everything comes with business goals, business objectives, and business strategy. So the security strategy should work hand in conjunction with business strategy. So it is very important to have meaningful dialogue between security and business leaders, understand the organizational vision, mission, the business strategy, and then draw the security strategy meaningfully, which is not an isolated strategy, but is a subset of the business strategy. So that's very important to draw that strategy in conjunction with business. If business, for example, is moving at very fast track on digitization, the cloud with some very advanced tools, AI and stuff like that, then the security tools, technologies, processes also should build around that. So we need to understand what are those capabilities of those tools, what they are going to may cause a little bit of disruption in security posture, and then coming up with the solutions around it by those advanced control mechanism from security, and then to put those control within that, again, risk acceptance criteria to ensure that everything is working fine, neither business is disrupted nor security posture is compromised. So that's how it is always a very collaborative way of working between business and security that brings the success. And one thing is very important is to keep communicating about what changes are being introduced in business. If security team does not know that, then it is difficult for them to think and anticipate and innovate where they want to be tomorrow. So the right governance, right collaboration is very important. So from the strategy perspective, of course, it is those very important cybersecurity controls, it is those awareness campaign, it is those, the supply chain security management, it is those very tight assurance framework, regular audit and assessment to understand where we are, what are the possible gaps, and draw those mitigation steps. And then continuous doing the risk assessment is very important, to understand where we are and what possibly the gaps that are building up in the environment, and take the remediation steps accordingly. So those are very important things.
So like financial sector is highly regulated. sector. So how organizations like yours is ensuring compliance with evolving regulations such as GDPR or CCPA, now PSD2. So and at the same time, safeguarding sensitive customer data from cyber threats. So if you can share some insights, maybe the example that if you can put up, like doing how you are managing it up at uh, EXA Global Business.
Sure, Kalpana. Yeah, I think they're complementary to each other. If we are taking compliance-based approach, then as part of that, if you look at GDPR, so GDPR, ask you to encrypt the data, properly. And just one example. So by being compliant with those guidelines, you are de facto, in a position to secure your data. Or it's a vice versa. If your focus is to achieve the highest level of data security, protecting the data in very secure way, you will be able to manage the regulatory guidelines, because at the end of the day, those regulatory and compliance guidelines are the best practices. So if you are following the best practices, I don't see that you need to do too many things to be compliant with those guidelines. Or if you are taking the compliance guideline as your as your guidance factor, then you will be able to manage a lot of data privacy and other aspects anyway. But I would say that better to take customer as a very important aspect, and take look at everything from customer perspective, what the customer are entrusting you with, and how you would like to fulfill their expectations. Okay, and then risk-based approach, because sometimes the compliance view is very may make you a little myopic in your business vision. So I would go with the risk-based approach. I would go with the customer sensitivity and customer requirement, and in the process I will do again risk assessment to see, after fulfilling those expectations from customer and risk-based approach, is there anything residual that I need to do to be compliant with those regulatory guidelines. So that's the vision path I would undertake, rather than taking that checkbox type of compliance guideline sort of things.
Yeah. So fintech innovations are reshaping the financial landscape. How are traditional financial institutions addressing the security implications of partnering with fintech startups and integrating their services into the existing infrastructure?
For sure. I mean, yeah. So I see plethora of partners, and when I go to the seminars and all, I see, hundreds and hundreds, new startups are coming up with a very sophisticated AI, ML based technologies, cybersecurity technologies and platforms, which is very good. And yes, I think you cannot build everything on your own. It doesn't make any business sense. So you need to see what are the best available tools and technologies available in the market and plug in as much as possible. But at the end of the day, in my view, when I see at the market, I would still go for enterprise type of tools where they are giving me as many features as available, rather than going for 20 products with each of the functionalities. That makes it very difficult for the integration. That makes it very difficult for the vendor management. That makes it very difficult to be scalable in the future. So I would rather go with a bigger platform, with an enterprise level platform, than going with one solution for one functionality or feature. But I see that's what people are coming with products which will give you benefit, maybe in multi-factor authentication or IDM or logging and monitoring or different things. But I more look forward to the platforms which will give you multiple benefits, for it to be scalable, cost optimized solution, and also the smoother vendor management and supplier chain related concerns.
Yeah, so I think you're right. So, automation in cybersecurity presents a significant challenge in today's IT landscape.
given the multitude of tools and technologies in the SOC. So the creation of an integrated fabric where all existing tools are seamlessly interoperable is crucial in addressing this challenge. So I would love to hear your views and thoughts on how we can overcome these obstacle. And are there any specific technologies that you believe are key in this context?
See what are the probable areas that are impacting the cyber significantly. It is access control, it is logging and monitoring, it is SOC, it is vulnerability assessment, many things. So then I think as a service provider, they need to look at where is the opportunity to converge all these features and how to build this functionality in a very interoperability perspective, scalability perspective, rather than being stuck with only one or two features. So that looking at the business process is also important to build the solution optimally. What the organizations are looking for, what are their business vision, where exactly cyber will play the role, where will be the future threat vectors, keeping in mind the business vision, understanding all those dynamics are important for the solution providers. They sometimes, I think, they work in very tech type of kind of setup, look at things from very technology lens, but it is not only technology, it is also to understand where the business will, is heading for, and what are the cyber areas that will play important role for the business growth and business vision. So that is also very important. And of course, from technology perspective, how to bring many features in a converged way, and not to get stuck with one particular stream is very important. And I think it is all through your proper, the way your organization's BA guys are playing the role, how they're translating the business requirement into technology requirements, and the technology guys are, taking it forward. So it is very important for the BA, for the developers, for the architects to work together along with the business leaders to get a holistic understanding and then take it forward.
Yeah. So how are you ensuring a robust cloud security posture with, considerations like keeping in mind migrating the sensitive data and critical applications to the cloud?
Of course, yes, Kalpana, it's a very valid question. So again, data sensitivity, data categorizations, classification of data plays very important role. Things like public data or confidential data or internal data, etc. So based on the data, the decision is made whether to move to public or private, or not move to cloud at all, maybe sometimes if the data is that kind of. So yeah, it is all data. As an organization, BFSI is their main asset. One of the main assets, I would say, is data, right? So data plays very crucial role in understanding what will be the impact if we move to different categories of cloud. So that's the decision-making factor, of course. And then, of course, the supply chain, the attack vectors we look at. And, there's also a security part of it, but of course, the agility and the business angle is very important. But from security, data, it plays very important role, how to protect the data securely.
Yeah.
And what is the scalability of cybersecurity controls? So how agile is the solution, or how flexible is the solution to implement the controls as per our requirements? We don't want to get locked in by anybody saying that this is what you will get, and more than that you will not get. So that is not the situation you would like to get into. You would like to have our say in determining the controls that you would like to implement in alignment with the changing business requirement, changing security postures and standards, etc. So that flexibility we would like to have in the product. and not get locked into the deal.
Yeah. So what challenges we face managing user identities and access privileges in a complex financial services environment, and what strategies effectively mitigate these challenges?
Yeah, I think role-based access control, RBAC. So that is very important. Of course, zero trust is the vision, but zero trust needs to be looked at from multiple angle, and then chalk out the strategy accordingly to ensure that there is a win-win both from security and business, and there is no disruption. But yeah, role-based access control is very important, and then a very good workflow for the access mechanism, including the approval process. This has to be assessed very, very in detailed manner by security guys. Why is the requirement, the duration of the requirement, what is the business justification, what can be the impact if the access is provided. I am talking mainly from the privilege access management, not from normal user-based access kind of thing. So mainly privilege access. So PAM, the privilege access management, the process has to be very tight. If the process is very comprehensive, then mapping that into the tool is easier. But what you want to do with PAM is very important. Sometimes I have seen people bring in a lot of tools, but the thought process is not ready what to do with the tool. So the thought process has to be very clear what needs to be done with PAM solution. Of course, single sign-on, multi-factor authentication, all these are very important controls around it. So that that is very important. Yeah. Other than that, there has to be a data, the very tight governance about this access mechanism, and the HR, the IT, the security teams, the business team need to work very closely together to ensure that JML process, for example, joiners, movers, levers. So at the time of joining, access provisioning, access deprovisioning during movement of the employee from one department to others, during the exit process, revocation of the process, all this needs to be done very collaboratively, very swiftly. And for that, tool is required. Some automation is required. Otherwise, traditional way of working, and then you deprovision the access after 15 days, that can create additional security features. So right set of tools, right set of collaboration among multiple functions to do the governance of the access is very important. So that is another important aspect.
Yeah. So how are you leveraging threat intelligence and proactive threat hunting techniques to detect and respond to cyber threats more effectively?
Yes, so we have horizon scanning, we have all orchestration tools, a very advanced SOC mechanism. So all those things are there as part of. I mean, without being very specific to AXA, I mean, I'm talking agnostic of AXA. So these are the tools typical BFSI segment will use, and we are no different. So those are the tools very important to be used. But yeah, tool is on one aspect. Then you need to have a very quick alerting mechanism. The people behind that very sophisticated incident management process, where even if the preventive and detective control fails, then you have incident management to fall back on, and you can contain that very quickly. Yeah, those are very important things. Threat hunting is also based on working with many niche organizations which are in this space, the consultants, the advisories, and etc. So they give very good feed in terms of not only the cyber as an area, but geopolitics, the high risk scenarios from every angle. So those advisories, those consulting methodologies are also very important to stay abreast of what's happening around you. That is very crucial. And of course, very tight governance, and ensuring that we are always monitoring our environment. We are always monitoring our perimeter, and everything is under close monitoring criteria. So those are the few things I've done. Usually.
What role do cyber insurance policies play in supporting businesses with their cyber resilience strategies? And I mean, what are your views on this?
Cyber insurance is very important for the risk which can be transferred. Ideally, those kind of risk. So yes, some of the risks which are having very, very low likelihood, but high impact. So those are the areas usually organizations like us would like to go for cyber insurance. Of course, the due diligence is very much required about their credibility, about their partnership level. Okay, whether they can really work with us as a partner during any crisis situation that needs to be understood properly. Otherwise, the whole engagement can go for a toss. So that brand reputation, due diligence is very much important. And then in close collaboration with the contract team, the procurement team, we should get a very good deal in terms of the clauses. The clauses should be very clear, otherwise it can lead to ambiguity in the future. And also how to leverage the cyber insurance not only for disbursement of claim settlement, but also as a partner for overall cybersecurity journey. So because they are very important partners, like auditors, cyber insurance also they are very good partners, and they also have very huge subject matter expertise. So how to leverage that knowledge and make our security standards better, that is another thing to look at.
Like other regulatory authorities, I think these cyber insurance agencies are again helping in
Yes.
creating a good security posture
Yes,
with
yes.
all kind of guidelines.
Yeah, they are our partners. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, okay. So, what kind of budgets, you have observed earlier and now, has there been any increase in the budgets in terms of investments on different technologies which you think are further required for cybersecurity strategy?
We are very security oriented company. We have a huge focus on security because we are in that type of industry. And so budget is never a problem. Budget is aligned with the business strategy, and as an output of that security strategy, business budget is also based on the latest development in the cyber world, in the geopolitical area, those alerts and advisories we get from our partners. Those are very important feeds. And also kind of technology that we are introducing, not only the business but also the technology, the kind of cloud, the AI, etc. So that opens up a lot of inherent risk, right? So the budget has to be aligned with our exposure to those inherent risks. So those are our determining factor to determine the budget.
So year on year, I can see with as we started with the discussion that the cybersecurity world is becoming much more complicated. So, what kind of trend you can observe? Like there has been every year on year there has been an increase in the budgets. So, what kind of trend you can see? That every year it is increasing by 10%, 20%, or in percentage. What kind of trend you can observe?
Trend is not linear. Trend can be different at different point of time. So it is difficult to say what type of trend. We can bring in new tools which can result in cost optimization, but we may end up optimizing some other area. So where maybe 10 people are working manually, we can automate that task and we can go for a sophisticated tool. So it is all playing with the how we want to optimize the
Okay.
whole thing.
What are your top priorities over the next 2 years, and what do you envision as the future of security, and how do you anticipate organizations evolving their security strategies? Yeah.
Sure. So Kalpana, as I told, it is my strategy is in alignment with business strategy. So it comes out during the dialogues with the business leaders and our review meeting with the business leaders. What are they thinking in terms of their business growth and strategy? And accordingly, I have to work on my strategy. My strategy is not something in isolation. So I need to look at what are the tools and products and solutions from technology space that will be brought in to fulfill this business vision. I need to look at what are the business processes that are going through changes, significant changes, and what can open up new areas of inherent risk. So I need to bring in that level of solutions, including the more advanced level of awareness campaign, maybe because the business processes are changing. So then, or I might have to, in the protect, detect, recover, respond, in each area, I need to look and see whether in the changing times and changing business vision, I need to, drop the budget consumption in protect or put it in more detect, etc. So that all comes out through the business vision. So that is very important, and business vision also opens up the technology vision, and technology vision and business vision help me to determine my strategy.
Absolutely. So thank you, Anirban, for sharing your insights and expertise with us. And in conclusion, we can say the financial sector faces numerous cybersecurity challenges that require proactive and comprehensive solutions. So it's imperative for the industry to adapt to evolving threats and leverage advanced technologies to safeguard against cyber attacks. Thank you so much for taking out time and joining us on CXO TV.
Thank you so much, Kalpana and team. I think it was lovely. I really enjoyed interaction with you. And along the way, I also learned quite a few things from you. Thank you so much. Have a great evening ahead.
You too. Thank you.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.